Hi, I'm Reverend Ellen Barron, and it is so good to be here with you. Have you ever been amazed at how nature can provide so many powerful lessons about life and about ourselves? Right now, as we know, there is this big storm system that's moving through our country, and it's affecting so many different people in very, very dramatic ways. Here in Raleigh, we're going to be impacted as well. They're predicting an ice storm. And with these predictions, what we're being advised to do is to stay home, stay indoors, hunker down. Don't go out. Don't go out. Now, that might be something that some of us resist, that doesn't appeal to us. Maybe we don't want to stop doing the things that we like to do, or perhaps we just are not wanting to lose control. What about just not liking or wanting to be alone with ourselves? But this can be a wonderful invitation to pause, not simply to just stop by maybe turning on the TV or distracting yourself with activities in the house, puttering around, daydreaming, but instead to set your intention to actually become still, to use this as an invitation to connect to that still small voice within, connect to our Christ nature. It was about 3 weeks ago now that here in church we had a very powerful service. People spoke to me afterwards and said that they really resonated with this activity, that as they went home and they did it and they thought about it, it made a very, very big impact. What we did was we became quiet. We became still. We listened. We listened to that still small voice within. And then what we were listening for was a name, a word, perhaps a quality. And we wrote that on our white stone. We also made a commitment, setting our intention that we were going to pay attention to what this was telling us, that we were going to use this as a guide on our spiritual journey this year. New beginnings that began with rest, restoration, renewal, rather than a grasping, a forcing. It was simply becoming quiet, becoming still. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know what? Know our Christ nature, that we are one with God, that we are this very expression of this divine nature. And that's why we can connect with those qualities, why we can find that word, that we can find that inspiration within. But we can't do it when we're busy all the time, when we're constantly thinking and moving and doing. There was a time in my life, not all that long ago, where I loved to be doing lots and lots of different things. Um, in fact, that's one of the things I used to consider my superpower, that I just was always able to juggle so many balls up in the air at one time. And I loved the feeling that this energy of creativity and doing created within me. But more and more lately, I've been having a shift. And what I'm realizing is that I'm getting as much power and energy from within by just sitting in the silence. And it's becoming more and more enjoyable all the time. I still love the kind of surge of power that comes within me as I get ideas and and think about how do I get this to happen and to be implemented. But I get as much of a surge as I sit and just feel that Christ nature within. Here in Unity, what we talk about all the time is what is our Christ nature? Our Christ nature is that place within where we connect with these attributes, the ones that we were listening for in that powerful exercise just a few Sundays ago. And what they mean really is this is where we find our inner strength. If there is a storm in our life, regardless of what that storm might be, the one that we're talking about right now, which may be causing us to feel fearful and concerned and nervous, we can find peace. We can find peace regardless of what's happening out there. Perhaps it's a storm in our life where there's a loss, there's an illness, there's security, financial security that feels threatened and jeopardized. This is a reminder that it doesn't matter whether it's a actual nature storm or an emotional storm, a personal storm. That's all the metaphor for becoming quiet and still that we're invited in this particular moment to explore. This is where I find the God within. Be still and know that I am God. And in that stillness, as I connect with that, I release within me that inner strength, that inner peace, that love that helps me learn how to love myself. Because I can't love you. I can't love my neighbor. I can't love my enemy, hardly love my enemy, if I can't love myself. And that's because I can't give what I don't have. I can only mirror where I am in consciousness. So if I am filled with judgment, with fear, with criticism, self-criticism, doesn't matter. That is what's reflected in all of my relationships. This is why this is so powerful, to be able to sit quietly, to allow these things to come up without judgment, without trying to fix and change or anything, to just say, okay, I'm still, I'm pausing, I'm listening. Think about it this way, another story from nature. All of nature needs some incubation time, doesn't it? We as a species and all animal species, there's a gestation period where the embryo is in this darkness, in this silence before it emerges as a new life. A seed needs to go into the darkness of the soil, and it needs to be in that quiet, that stillness, so that it can sprout and blossom and bloom. Our soul needs this too. Our soul needs this quiet for it to blossom, for it to be renewed, for it to grow, for our soul to know the truth of our divine nature. This is how our soul knows the truth of who and what we really are. And it's from that truth, from that knowing, that we're able to step into the world, that we're able to do the things that we need to do, that we're able to do all of this from our Christ nature, from love, from peace, from compassion, from empathy. We're more powerful than we give ourselves credit for being. We're more powerful because we are made in this image and likeness of God, because we have this very power within us. And it's there, but it has to be released. It has to radiate out. It has to transform us. So we become this very Christ nature. Another metaphor that we can look at comes from the Bible. And this one has nature in it again. So Jesus has been preaching all day and he's tired. He goes into the boat with the disciples and they're floating out on the water, and Jesus lays down and goes to sleep. Well, a big storm comes, tremendous waves, wind, and the disciples are very, very nervous. They're frightened. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to navigate through this storm. And they sit in this boat filled with fear. I want to stop here for one moment and interject a thought. What about us? How many times when we face crisis, when the waves of life are pounding against us, do we find ourselves just rooted in fear and anxiety and concern? Could be the very things going on in the world around us today, where we don't know how to react and how to respond, and it feels overwhelming. Finally, the disciples turn to Jesus to wake him up. And that's our direction as well. We too, when we stop, when we pause, when we get still, we connect to this Christ nature within ourselves. We don't have to wait until we're knocked down in that boat of life. We can make it. We can remember, we can practice. And this is where our commitment, our practice comes into place. Because as we do this, if we do set this intention and we do practice, we remember sooner than later. So Jesus wakes up. And what does he say right away? I know you all know the answer to this. He says, "Peace be still. Peace be still. Peace be still." It is that need to be still that opens our hearts, our minds, and our souls to the aspects of God that are within. It's such a shift in consciousness. We are so conditioned here in our Western society to grasp, to look, to fill up. And it's all about just becoming still. It's all about becoming still. The other part of that story from the Bible that I'm thinking about with the disciples in the boat, to me also represents our oneness, because here they are together in this storm, as we find ourselves today, as we find ourselves in this storm system that's moving across the country. We are each invited to be home alone in our house. However, this is impacting all of us. This is a storm system that is showing us that it isn't just an individualized thing, that these systems go through all of us because we are one, we are interconnected. And as if we all took this invitation to pause, to go within, to connect to this inner power, it would make such a difference in our world. I want to read to you a quote by Ernest Holmes. "There is a power for good in the universe, and we can use it." There is a power for good in the universe, and we can use it when we become still and connect to it, when we open our minds, hearts, and souls, when we are aware. that we radiate all of this. We can be the change we want to see. Namaste. Let's take a deep breath in right now, and let's take these ideas into meditation. So I invite you to just close your eyes if you'd like to. Get comfortable in your chair. Let's relax. Let's relax together because that's the first step in our becoming quiet. That's the first step in our sacred pause. Take a deep breath in and just relax. Breathe it out. And as we sit and breathe, let's bring our attention to our body. What are we feeling? Are we feeling any concerns, any stress, anxiety, perhaps anger and resentment? Overwhelmed? Listen. Listen in this stillness. What is coming up? Now sense where in your body you're feeling this energy. Are you feeling it in your gut, your heart, your neck and shoulders? Might be helpful. Put your hand on that part of your body that you're sensing this energy. And I invite you to just stay aware of this energy, this sensation, this feeling, without judgment, without fixing, without the story, without processing, just bringing an awareness. And now breathe out. Just let this go. Let this energy go. Trust in the process that as we let go and let God, as we pause and release, we open ourselves to the activity of the spirit within. And then we can listen to that inner inspiration. Listen to the guidance within. Listen to spirit in the silence. Take another deep breath in now. Move around in your chair. Open your eyes. Welcome back. Namaste.